Hey everyone, what is going on? And welcome to a bit of a talking video. I can't play Valorant at the moment because I'm just getting off of a tennis injury. So I might have to do like this style of video for like one or two more videos, but I'll be back on the YORU grind super soon. The main kind of topic I wanted to talk about today is if YORU still needs a buff or if he's good where he's at. Because I still see people kind of say that he's bad and he's not good enough to be picked up. And while I can see their points, for the most part, I would rather him just not be buffed at all. So let's get straight into why. So on the first video back on this YouTube channel, I kind of talked about the YORU buffs that they were going to be adding. And the main concern I had is that they were going to do too much to the character. I thought that his plays were going to be pretty well known because like he was going to be like a highly picked character. However, this wasn't really true at all. The buff pretty much just made him insanely powerful, but the people who didn't want to play him before or they didn't like him, they still just don't play him. And it kind of left YORU in a pretty perfect spot where he's like right now he's insanely powerful and people don't want to learn him and see how he works, and which plays into him perfectly. Because at least in my opinion, the more that YORU is pushed into the meta and the more that people kind of understand how he works, the less effective he will be in the game going forward. And it's just because of kind of how he works and the common patterns that most YORUs have when trying to play him. However, do not get me wrong, YORU is a lot more popular now in ranked. However, he's a lot more popular than pretty much no popularity. Like prior to the buff, pretty much nobody played him. And I think the best example of how much more popular he got is if you look at Red's channel, like right after the buff kind of happened, this guy just started popping off. It shows that like there's a bit more people who like playing him. However, I don't think this number is nearly as high as pretty much any of the other characters. Like he's cool and he's good, and that's exactly where he should be. And I think he should just be left in the spot where he's at, where he's good, but he's kind of like a niche pick though. Like he's not like super popular in ranked, but he can be played and he's pretty viable. And now we're going into kind of why he is actually strong, and I'm going to kind of debunk a few buffs that people kind of say. The main buff I hear people kind of asking for is the sound on his TP lowered, like how far you can hear it from. And in my opinion, this can't really be changed. Like the whole point of YORU is you have to play around how loud his TP is, or else you could just go in their spawn and there'd be no counterplay to it. Like it would just be dumb. And I think the main point is that you kind of have to use his blind and his ult with his TP so that it is viable, because it can't be a good tool by itself. It kind of needs to be paired with the rest of his kit. So I think the TP just has to be left the same. Like it can't be like super quiet because it just kind of ruins the point. And the other buff that I see people asking for is a change to his footsteps. And I will actually agree on this one. His footsteps are insanely weak. However, I wouldn't really want a buff. I would more just want the ability to like reworked in a way. Like I'm not sure exactly how they would do it, but the rest of his kit is so strong that they can't like change out his footsteps for like, you know, like a fake plant or a fake TP, because then his whole kit would just be like insanely strong, and that kind of ruins the point. So I'm not sure how they could buff his footsteps. And one option they could do, which I kind of said on the first day of YORU, is it's kind of weird that the footstep is always the sound of YORU. So I think a good option would be to change the sound of the footstep to a noise of a person on your team. Like not YORU, but just like whoever's not dead in that round, then change it to her footstep so that it's not like, it's not instantly obvious that the footsteps are fake. And yeah. And the last part I want to get into is kind of people saying how he's not played in pro play. And in all honesty, I don't think he's ever going to be. He's just not a pro play character. Like we see it a lot in similar games. I used to play League a lot, so I'll kind of use that as an example. There's a whole lot of champions who are used a lot in ranked and a lot in non-ranked, and they're just not seen in pro play. And it's pretty simple that in ranked and in unranked, there's people who you don't know if they like won't have comms or they're just dumb. And in pro play, people are always on comms and people always know like what is going on. And YORU is just not a pro play character. There was one game, I think it was in the European League. I actually could be wrong. I'm not sure which Valorant league it was in, but he was played once and they pretty much just used his crash like the whole game. Like they didn't really use his ulti to do that much. And they didn't really use his footsteps for that much. They just used his gate crash to cross map rotate like twice or 3 times around. And while sure, I think that can be viable, I don't think it's worth it to be picked in pro play. He just seems like one of those characters who is heavily picked, or not even heavily picked. He's just picked in ranked and unranked. However, in pro play, he's not seen that often. And that was just a quick talk I wanted to do, as I can't play a whole lot of Valorant at the moment, but I still wanted to keep up with my daily uploads. So I just thought, hey, I'll just slap on some music and talk about the Overbuff that happened like 2 weeks ago, I think now. And overall, I think the buff is literally perfect for him. I think he should just be left right where he's at right now, and then he's good. They can change some quality of life things if they want to, but overall, he's all good with me, dog. And so, yeah, the growth over the past like 2 weeks again, as I say like twice a vid, has been absolutely insane. So I appreciate all of the growth over the past 2 weeks. Have a good rest of your day, guys, and peace out.